Hello guys, welcome back. I'm filming this on Friday. I won't drop it on to you till Saturday, so I'm not bombing you with videos. But I had a viewer ask a day or so ago about, everyone talks about meeting, Segan and such forth, but no one talks about meeting Fenrir and, Jormangandr, and, not too many people, perhaps, they didn't mention this, talk about meeting Sleipnir. Um, it is talked about a little bit in the community, but I think the reason a lot of people don't is that, one, there's a stigma against Lokean's children in the community, and two, sometimes people don't know how to go about it. With me, what I did is I asked Loki first. I was like, is it okay? Because I know he's very protective of his children. And he was like, okay, if you want to meet them, why not? He is protective of his children. He'll take you to them when he's ready. And as for meeting them, you have to remember, it's kind of like this video I watched today. I was watching this video on the Vikings and what were their beliefs right in that. And this guy was so awesome and so on point. I'm like, finally, a non-pagan researcher gets it, until he started using Christian theology to continue the rest of his lecture. And then instead of chaos versus order, which is what we actually have, he started good versus evil, and I just wanted to slap that man, because he's passing himself off as an expert, and that's not a religion at all. And he talked about he went on to a second video I was watching, he was talking about modern heathens, like we're these backwards village idiots that, do these ridiculous things, and we still believe in these gods, oh, aren't they cute? And I'm like, and Loki was like fit to be tied, because he didn't like the guy. It made Thor sound stupid, he made Odin sound, dangerous and untrustworthy, and anything bad he could say about the gods he said. And it was just, how could you go so far and then fall flat on your face? So a lot of what you're going to see is represented by people like his gentleman. They think they know it all, but they really don't. And they represent Jormangandr and Fenrir as these evil demons. I've seen them called demons, monsters, whatever. And they're not. You have to remember they're gods. They're gods. Their parents are gods. I mean, you can call the Jotnar giants, but that's not even a good translation. Giant is not proper translation of the word. A lot of people feel, and there's evidence to start backing this up, is that it's most likely they were the old race of gods that were supplanted as the Aesir and Fenrir came in. And of course, what happens? The old gods always become the bad people, so the recreation myth was probably completely retold. So the one we have now is probably not what the old one was. Now, working with Jormangandr is I've worked with them. You can say them, her, he, everybody seems to get a different sense. I get this really, really sweet, really happy vibe, this really deep aquatic vibe. Not hostile at all, not like in the stories. Now remember, the stories we have handed down had several centuries of Christianity between them and when the last actual Vikings would have actually practiced. They handed down these stories for whatever reason, but by then it was tainted. So Jormungandr is the real serpent, much like Papa Damballa, but not the same being. Let's be clear. That encircles the world, holding his tail in his mouth, or such forth and such not, and protects the world, and upholds the world in a cosmic sense. I find they get along well with Papa Damballa, and they're very fond of each other, and they're very gentle. They don't require a lot of attention like some other gods. They're happy to see you when you want to see them, but they kind of have this like sleepy, tranquil sense, like they're just chilling out. They're not in the mood to bother anybody, and Thor doesn't really seem to be actually in the mood to bother them. I think when our stories were written down, they were over amplified, so that happened. And working with Fenrir as well, I didn't expect this big, stupid, unreasoning beast that some people have expected. I saw one horrible thing written, and it's actually in one of the Lokean books I have. comparing Frenny to a serial rapist and like kind of excusing being a serial rapist because Fenrir exists. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Excuse me, hell. And it was just such stupidity. It was, one, he's not this stupid, unreasoning beast. He's a god. You have to remember these are gods. Just because they don't look like humans, oh boo and who, they don't look like humans. Get over it. You're not the end all be all of the universe. And, these gods were grouped into this family group, and they will honor that family group, but we honestly don't know if in prehistory they were gods in their own right from a far older time. Like, you get the sense that Loki's far older than the Pantheon, and Fenrir, and Jormangandr as well. And, you often see things that could represent Jormangandr and Fenrir in Viking culture and like reclaimed brooches and that. So they probably did not have the sense that we have of these terrifying beings. And as for Fenrir going to eat Odin, that's also a classic mythos in Germany and other parts of Europe, that the hero is devoured by the wolf. It's a transformation story, and then it's either regurgitated or cuts his way out, or someone saves him. So that could possibly be that. And for Jormungandr fighting Thor, well, it's two kind of opposing forces. You have the force that's always been beneath the waves, way down deep, encircling the world, protecting the world, and then you have this protective force in Thor that, although Thor loves mankind, is to be the heroes of farmers, can be very destructive because lightning can just hit everything and destroy everything in its path. And I think a lot of what we have now was the pagans of the time trying to reconcile all these different pantheons. And they did the best they could. And then the Christians came along and the things got muddled more. So if you want to work with them, I'd say you can either approach them, or I would approach Loki first, just to be polite. I mean, he is their dad, and you can approach Angerboda as well if you work with her. And she's a beautiful lady to work with. I mean, she's stern. She expects you to own yourself, but she's also very loving and sweet and kind. Oh, she's like that. She's that Mama Wolf. She's like can shapeshift and everything as well. So she's that Mama Wolf. And if you study wolves, you kind of get like a idea of her behavior. She's not going to be that brutish, stupid, savage, unreasoning monster that people that like to hunt wolves show. She's going to be actually shy. Wolves are actually shy and won't come towards you in a sense. Not like Angerboda is shy, but she's going to take her time to assess you. Let's put it that way. She's going to take her time to assess you and measure you, and then she's going to approach you. But you can ask her, you can ask Loki, just so the parents know you're approaching them. And I've never had the sense of Fenrir being this chained, stupid beast with a sword stuck in his mouth and all this other stuff. I think people really get what they expect. If that's all they can see of Fenrir, if that's absolutely all they can see is this stupid, savage beast, that's what they'll get. Is same with Yorgi. If all they can see is a stupid savage monster that lives in the sea and eats sailors or whatever crap they believe, that's what they'll get. Our gods are very obliging. It's like Loki's very obliging too. If you think he's the crown prince of evil and you spit when you hear his name, then of course if he's mentioned and you're in his in the presence of someone that mentions him reverently, of course he's going to take his time to show you exactly what he thinks of you being so disrespectful. Because that's the only outlet you're giving him. Now, if you would take your head out of your six and think that we need both chaos and order, we can't have one without the other, he would not be like that. So, yeah, and you can meet them in meditation, just speak to them out loud, maybe get like a little statue or a picture, or just picture them in your mind's eye, however you picture them. I have a little plushy wolf Beanie Baby for Fenny, and I have like snake stuff and dragon stuff all over the place for Yorgi. And Sleipnir as well. You can get like horse statues, you can get whatever. He doesn't mind if they're eight-legged or whatever. And they're all known also to shapeshift and appear in a human form if they think you're going to totally freak and not be able to deal with them. They can be accommodating. And the same goes for Hel. I've seen her in so many different guises. It's like amazing. She actually prefers a sort of crone form with me, and she's very much tell it like it is. She's like, Lasanta, I love them both. In fact, they will both look at me to make sure I love them both, and they're very much both tell it like it is. Snap, you're smarter than any of the boys in the room. And they are. They're like, you can't get anything past those two. Don't even think of it. You haven't even thought the thought yet, and they know what you're going to do. So, yeah, he has really amazing children, and they're really easy to work with. They're not as much like Loki, like you have to pay a lot of attention to me, though if you start working with them more intentionally, they may be like, hey, you and I were friends. Where are you? Why aren't you paying attention to me? But, yeah, you can definitely work with them. They're all really sweet. Most Jotuns are really sweet. They're not these enemies of mankind. In fact, they have, I believe it's in Iceland, they have, around Yule, I can't think of the proper word, but the children of the Jotuns bring gifts to human children. So there you go. I mean, it's not like they're this hostile, terrible race. They hate humankind because basically, everything on Earth was built out of a Jotun's body. So basically, in a way, we all have Jotun blood, if you'd like to think of it that way. I mean, that might horrify some of you, but if you think of it, if everything came from Ymir, not Ymir, Ymir? But if everything came from the body of the first giant, was built of the first giant, and then we were built out of the wood, yeah, we have, in essence, a little giant stalk in all of us. So that is very cool. So if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. I hope that helped. I know I can get, like, very passionate. I'm very defensive of Loki and the entire family, because too many people will say, well, they're terrible, so this is my excuse to go off and do all this terrible stuff. And they are not. You have to start thinking, have a more cosmopolitan sense of the gods. Educate yourself, grow a little, study other pantheons if you have to understand these type of gods if you're finding it really hard. And it's nothing to do with good and evil. That is such a Christian concept. You really do have to throw that out the door when you're dealing with our gods, because they're not good and evil. They're not walk on water gods, but they all have order in them, and they all have a little bit of chaos in them too. They all do. They all kind of run the spectrum at times. So if you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. And you're going to be seeing this on Saturday, so happy Loki's Day.